Now, I'd like to welcome Jim Kerley to the Gathering Heritage Project. And Jim is a retired fireman and a very keen genealogist. There you are, Jim. I got that right, didn't I? Yeah, I've been practicing that all morning. But his life changed a bit when he was contacted by a lady called Julie Dello. Now, Jim, tell me how you heard about this lady.
Well, I was on the Jerry Kelly show with LMFM talking about the fire brigade. I was up for an interview and he said your new hobby's genealogy, and he asked would I take on a wee job for him. And I said, yeah, well, what would it call? He says, a woman's looking for a husband. I said, being flippant, I turned around and said, it's a private detective you're looking for, not a genealogist. And during the break, we went into a break, and then he explained that this chap had left Dundalk in 1960. He had joined the English Army. He'd never been back. And he went to school in the Point Road. He played football for Dundalk, things like this. I said, no problem at all, 2 hours walk. Little did I think that 2 hours was going to take the next 8 years to get the end result. That night I came home, and within 2 hours I discovered the information we'd been given, there was something seriously wrong. Rang Jerry the following morning and said, I need to talk to this lady because the information she had is obviously wrong in some directions. And he contacted her, and within 20 minutes she was on the phone to me, and we've been on the phone ever since.
This lady, you've never spoken to her before, you'd never know who she was, nothing at all about her.
I explained that her husband had died in 1981 and she was trying to find information.
You never heard from this lady before, ever, until that phone call?
Until that phone call. And she went on, I told her that the information she had was wrong, from what I could get her straight away. And I said, we need to go back to day one and tell me exactly what you know. And with that, she told me that in 1960, she went to a dance. She was only 17, and she met this famous man, Lindello, at the dance. And it was his first night out of his army training. They were after doing 6 weeks basic training in the depot, and they weren't allowed out of that depot for it. So this was the very first night out. And it was obvious she was smitten straight away with him. He said he was 25, and he told her that night that he was born on a ship coming to Ireland from Spain, and from Spain to Cork, that he was fostered out in the Dundalk area on a farm with a McCann family that had 3 older brothers. But he says fostering wasn't good in Ireland, so just forget about that.
Catherina Lynch to our Gathering Heritage Project. She's in to talk to me a little bit about, I suppose, now with Brexit coming up and hard borders and soft borders and everything. This would be probably, Catherina, a bit of an interest to you because you lived just across the border. Tell us a little bit about where you lived.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Forkhill in South Armagh, not too far from Dundalk and not too far from Newry, but yet we always consider Dundalk as being our local town. As I say, because geographically it was closer. There was always a border there when I was a kid. It's not obviously, of course, as visible now as it was then. But when I was a child, the famous phrase was hop the border. You know, we're going to hop the border. Obviously, you had something to hop the border with. I never knew what it was.
Would just be going down to the Republic or coming back?
I have a funny feeling it was going both ways. It was a great two-way street, you know. The border, of course, was always very lucrative for some. Unfortunately, not for us. There was people and they made a lot of money out of the border, you know, being the way it was. As I say, we didn't fall onto that particular category. But it was always there, you know, quite visible in some instances because you had customs huts at different locations. We didn't have one now on the Carrick-a-Stickin Road. That's where the end of the Carrick-a-Stickin Road would join on to, we'll say, the lands of Kilcurry, that area. And there was a wee road shot off up to the side, and it was capped.
So you could go that wee unapproved road, please.
It was a totally unapproved road. There was a signpost up for years. In fact, I wouldn't mind finding one of those signposts, unapproved road. And once you were on an unapproved road, you were instantly, you know, breaking the law. We had no choice because that was our best, easiest access in and out.
An unapproved road meant that nobody could go on it.
Technically, no. Technically, you should not have crossed there. You should have gone to an official crossing point where it was manned with permanent customs men at a customs post. This didn't have customs men permanently. They sort of stationed themselves like fairly covertly in their car or whatever up a wee side road. So we'd be going into Dundalk or out of Dundalk or whatever. We'd obviously have something with us. I never knew what we had because obviously, as you know by looking at me, Harry, I'm just so young. You know, I'm perpetually young. I have a picture of the attic. I never get old, you know. But we'd be crossing the border and my father would be saying, keep an eye out there now, keep an eye out. Is there any cars following us? And just like that time there was only about 3 cars in the county, for God's sake, you know.
Did you ever find out what he might have been carrying?
Never did. Actually, genuinely never did. It could have been butter, it could have been sugar, it could have been egg, I don't
Keating. Now, Dominic, of course, is very, very well known for a lot of things in Dundalk, particularly on the stage, and that is not what we're going to talk about on our programme today. Dominic, if I say Symingtons, would you think a lot of people in Dundalk would remember Symingtons?
They may not, because most people knew it as Dundalk Textiles, and I spent 33 years in Dundalk Textiles, and it was only down Deary's Yard, but in actual fact, at the height of its production, there were 180 people worked there. When I went in first, I went in at age 15, and there were only 14 men, and the rest were all women. And you know,
Why are you laughing?
because I remember when the first time I went in, and the first time we made corsetry, you know, women's corsetry. So I remember the first time I was sent down into the factory. I worked in the stores at 15 years of age, and of course all the women were, you know, child in, you know, and you were red faced, and they loved to embarrass you, you know.
Because you're right as regards the corsetry, because we wouldn't have known a hell of a lot, and a lot of people don't know what made, but we do know that they made corsets.
Yes, and of course one of the big products they had was swimwear. We were at one stage the leading manufacturer of swimwear in Ireland. We also made sportswear, tracksuits. We made the kit for the Dundalk Football Club for years, and a lot of the business was export, because our parent company were in Leicester. They had loads of work and they used to send it over to us. So we did a very big proportion of it, maybe 35% was exported. But it's amazing when you think about it, but in Dundalk, you never hear any mention of what they call the needle trades, the clothing manufacturers. You hear about Halliday's and Clark Shoes, Ross and Connolly's. But in actual fact, if you think about it, all the needle trades that was around Dundalk, I remember tailors in New Street who made the Garda uniforms. There was the Penny factory who made dresses. There was the Hankey factory. There was the Dundalk Hosiery Company. Yeah. There was Joe Blair's who made the dresses. There was ourselves, Dundalk Textiles, Symingtons. And then there was, later on, there was Liam Parker who made slacks trousers. And then after that, Rivers.
Listen to the full interview on www.gatheringheritage.com.